Wildcats. Ladies and gentlemen, head coach of the Army West Point Black Knights football team, Coach Jeff Monken.
Thank you. What a beautiful day. What a great day to be here and celebrate this fantastic team. The Commander-in-Chief's trophy, victories over our academy rivals, and a trip to the White House. What a tremendous honor to be here. Thanks to Secretary Esper and General Milley for having us here to the Pentagon as your guests. And thanks to everybody who came out. What a fantastic crowd. Fun to see everybody from the Army out here supporting this team. This is your team. And I can tell you, we play for those out there in the green, and very, very proud to do so. This was a fantastic season and just a wonderful group of guys. We've got 28 seniors, firsties, that are going to be graduating this May and going out to serve and joining you folks here in the ranks of the Army as second lieutenants. And I can tell you they're excited, and we couldn't be more proud. They're great young men and women, and are going to do great things out there in the Army. We're proud to be here and be able to see this magnificent facility. I know for a lot of our guys, it's the first opportunity for them to see just the heartbeat of the Army and where the generals and all the great decisions are made that lead our almost 1 million people in the Army. So we're really thrilled to be here. So.
Thank you, Coach Monken. Ladies and gentlemen, Superintendent of the United States Military Academy, Lieutenant General Robert L. Caslen, Jr.
Well, Mr. Secretary and General Milley and distinguished guests, you know, after 21 years to be here to celebrate the Commander-in-Chief trophy, the victory over Air Force and the victory over Navy, to be here to celebrate with you, there's nothing better than that. And we're going to do it again next year, trust me. We'll do a good AAR on this ceremony because we'll be back this time next year. You know, if the average American wants to see what's right with our country, all they have to do is turn on an Army Navy or an Army Air Force football game. And if they want to see what's right with their Army and the future leaders of its Army, all they had to do was watch the Army Navy football game this year, or the Army Air Force football game, which got us here with the Commander-in-Chief trophy. There were two teams that were clenched in deadly battle, and one was going to persevere. But the one that was going to persevere was going to demonstrate that they had the relentlessness, the toughness, the grit, the tenacity, and the relentless will to win and to not be denied. And that was the Army football team, and that's what they demonstrated on the 9th of December to bring this trophy back here. You know, when the American people put boots on the ground in harm's way, they don't expect their Army to go out there and look good or to do its best. They expect the Army to go out there and to accomplish its mission and to win. And not win at all costs, but to win in accordance with our values and what they represent. and Mr. Secretary and Chief, sir, when you saw the Army football team against Navy, and when you saw the Army football team against Air Force, you saw that relentless intent to achieve victory, to accomplish his mission, to demonstrate the grit, the mental and physical toughness and tenacity, and to not be denied, and to bring back to the Army and to the American people the Commander-in-Chief Trophy. These men in front of you are men that will be future leaders of that Army. And these are the men that battalion commanders are going to desire, are going to salivate over, that they will be part of their unit. Because they know what it means to build a team. They know what it means to be men of character. They know what it means to be tenacious and to fight. And you put them leading America's sons and daughters in the crucible of ground combat, and they will accomplish what America expects of its Army each and every time. So, sir, thank you very much for honoring this football team today. And we're excited, and we'll look forward to seeing you next year. Go Army, beat Navy. Thank you.
Thank you, General Caslen. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief of Staff of the Army, General Mark A. Milley.
So if I start cranking on that bourbon, how many hours in the area am I going to get through? I mean, many of you may not know this, but I'm a full-fledged member of the class of 1980. I was an I-3 back in the day. Yep, I'm a 300-hour guy. Ranked second from the bottom. Wasn't the GOAT, but came close. Gary Cheek was the GOAT. He's over here. He made 3 stars. So there's hope. And look at, I'm not going to talk for long. I just want to congratulate all of you and tell you just how proud I am of every single one of you, and how proud the United States Army is of every one of you. And not only did you, smoke Navy in the cold. That was pretty impressive 2 years in a row. Not bad, huh? And then you went on and you beat Air Force. And the Air Force, I love the Air Force. The Army loves the Air Force. Yeah, Air Force used to be part of the Army. I don't know how many people know that. I love the Air Force. I've always considered it a great alternative to military service. Go Air Force, huh? So, I'm sorry, I'm in a joint environment. There's an Air Force. There's a colonel. You're in the Air Force. You want to come back to the Army? There you go. You heard the President this morning talk about Space Corps. We'll open up a new academy. It'll be Space Cadets. It'll be great. It's going to be awesome. They might win something, but I don't know, not a football game. So, hey, look at, in just a short amount of time, you're going to graduate and you're going to get commissioned. And by Caslen, soup for life. How about Caslen, by the way? The guy's wearing a Civil War uniform and he looks like he's born in the Civil War. So. And he's been a great superintendent, and Bob's going to move on, but his heart will always remain at West Point, and I promised him that he would be buried at West Point, and you will be at some point in time, but you got a lot of years left, and we're so proud of what you've done as the superintendent. And how about Coach Monken? And Boo Bergen. I'm not sure what you are. Boo, yeah. So I don't know what you are in human clothing, but animal man, I don't know. Yeah, okay. But between Coach Monken and Boo Corrigan and the soup, you guys have had some great leadership out there. And in a very short period of time, 7 of you on the football team are going to go in the artillery, 3 in the infantry, 2 engineers, 2 air defense, 1 ordnance, and 1 signal. You'll get commissioned and you'll go through your basic course, your BOLIC, you'll do a couple of specialty schools, and a year from now, you're going to be in a deployable unit, and you're going to be leading the nation's national treasure, the youth of our nation. And you're going to be leading them, there are many of you are going to be leading them in ground combat operations overseas in just 12 months from now. Some of you are going to find yourself in some incredibly difficult circumstances. And what you learn as football players at West Point, what you learn playing against Navy and Air Force, what you learn as cadets, all of the cadets, the entire Corps of Cadets, what they learn entirely in terms of your academics, your character development, your leadership, your resilience, your toughness, and your military skills are going to play very, very well on that field. And that's going to be a different field. And while you played against Navy and against Air Force, you're going to fight as a joint team. And it will be you who will rely as much or more on the Navy than they will on you. And it will be you who will want that F-16 or that F-35 coming in on a close air support strike as you're engaged in close ground combat with the enemies of our country. So you're going to fight as a joint force. And although you played against Navy and beat them, and you played against Air Force and beat them, and have every right to be proud of the Commander-in-Chief's trophy, always remember those are your brothers and sisters in arms in those other services. And you're going to be fighting shoulder to shoulder with them in a very short period of time. There's not enough words I can tell you about how proud the entire Army, officer, non-commissioned officer, and enlisted are of the Army football team. You really took it to them, and you made all of us proud. So go Army. And what I'd like to do is just take a minute and introduce the Secretary of the Army. We're blessed. He wasn't class of 80. He wanted to be, but he couldn't be. So he ended up being the class of 1986 of the United States Military Academy. He was a regimental commander. He was a standout as a cadet. He was a member of the Sandhurst team. And then he went on in the infantry. And he served in the 101st Airborne Division. He served in combat in the First Gulf War. And then he served in all three components of the United States Army. In the regular Army, in the National Guard, and the U.S. Army Reserve. And then he went off into industry, worked up on the Hill as a staffer, worked here in the Pentagon as well. And he's been a lifelong commitment to the United States Army. He's been a lifelong commitment to this nation. And I can tell you there's nothing he holds more dearly than the United States Military Academy at West Point. So it's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to all of you the Secretary of the Army.
Thanks, Chief. I really appreciate the introduction. Fantastic. I'll tell you one thing, we owe the Chief of Staff a round of applause for himself as well, for all he's done to bring our Army back to the highest state of readiness we could be. So, Chief, thanks a lot for all you've done. He has single-handedly over the last year and a half taken the Army forward, got us focused on doing the right things, on training, equipping, readying the force for the trials ahead. But I don't want to belabor that. Today it's about you all. Congratulations on the Commanders-in-Chief Trophy. It was well-earned, well-played, and you deserve every single accolade that you've gotten today and in the past few days and in the years to come. So congratulations. Now, I just want to say a few things because I recall being in full dress over white, and I know you're hot out there, so I'll be very brief. That's right, a lot of head nods. Chief doesn't remember that. I came in '82. I was in the E4 as a plebe. He was in I3, right? So we didn't interact much. He was usually on the area marching tours. I was usually delivering mail and laundry, so we didn't mix up that much. But let me just say this much. I really want to give a lot of credit to General Caslen and all that he's done. He has built a winning culture at West Point that is unparalleled in any other academy. He has done what has been necessary to bring him to this point. He's built a fantastic team with Coach Monken, with Blue Corrigan, with the entire staff, and he deserves another round of applause for all he's done. Thank you. General Caslen knows well, something that we were drilling in our heads as young cadets, the famous saying by General Douglas MacArthur, and that is, upon the fields of friendly strife are sown the seeds that upon other fields, on other days, will bear the fruits of victory. That's exactly what you all represent in your great victories over Air Force and Navy, and that's what all the other Army teams, whether you're NCAA or club sports, the Army teams have prevailed over Air Force and Navy teams in any number of contests. So I give you all the credit you deserve there as well. Again, General Caslen, thank you for all you do. The last thing I'd say is my job as Secretary is to look to the future and imagine what may take place in 1, 2, 5, 8, 10 years from now. I will tell you this much. We'll be singing second again next year. We'll be back here again this time a year from now as well. God bless you. Go Army, be Navy.
Thank you, Secretary Esper. The Commander-in-Chief's trophy is being brought forward by the Black Knights football team captains.
Well done.
Taking a picture, come on up.
All right.
Come on up to the team for a picture.